This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
I never wanna get used to the sound you whispering in my ear.
Hey friends, you're listening to the Cat and Vee show. Pour yourself a juicy cup of tea, grab a seat, and get ready for us to dish. Hey guys, so we have brought it up a couple times in the last few episodes how we were both into true crime, and we thought we might as well just sit down and talk about it for its own episode. Here's that episode!
Yeah, I'm almost like, so many times I just want to just turn this into a true crime podcast because we both love true crime so much, but it's just like so much work.
That is a lot of research, and we already have one very heavy research base.
Neither of us will have the amount of time or dedication to be able to put into a quality true crime podcast, I don't think.
Yeah, no, if we did one, it would be a trash one.
Yeah, it would.
Could be fun, but also could be very disrespectful if we don't do it right, and that's just not something we want to do right now.
No. I don't know. This is kind of like our experimental podcast too, so it could go in any which direction depending on where we'll like, and we'll like gauge what you guys think of what we talk about and blah, 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 blah once these episodes come out. But either way, like, let's start with talking about some of our favorite true crimes YouTuber.
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
I'll start because, like, I recently got Jordan, my boyfriend, into true crime. And I know that Vee's very opinionated about this YouTuber. I think she makes things very easy to listen to. She's a very good storyteller. Kendall Ray, which no hate to her. Well, I actually really like Kendall Ray because I think that she brings up the topics without making it overly saturated with information. Maybe I think Vee might argue that it's not enough information, but like,
which is my biggest problem with her.
Yeah, but and I've noticed after, like, because we've gotten so into this current case, Jordan and I have been actively seeking out other sources about this case. So like True Crime Daily, which is another big YouTube channel that's actually like run by a TV channel, right? Like, yeah. And it's I think it does it pretty well, but it also like sensationalizes a lot of it too with the way that they edit.
Oh, absolutely. They're for the clicks. They're there for the clicks.
Yeah, like the way that they edit with like the and then blah 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 with like the narration is just a little much sometimes.
The YouTubers I watch for true crime are like Stephanie Harlow, who does 5-hour deep dives.
Yeah,
into a case.
See, that was our issue with Stephanie Harlow, is that like while we listen to her, but she just like is so long that for us we like to do stuff but so do you, but like it's different. I guess like it was just like she talks for so long, which is good because she goes into deep detail, but I don't think that like neither Jordan and I have the attention span to sit and like listen to like it was just like we listened to one of them. And actually, you know what? We should give her a better fighting chance because we listened to one that was more about like a historical case of like a lady who made she made her victims into soap, I think.
Oh, the giggling granny!
Yeah, and it was just like,
oh my god, that's a fucking case.
I don't know if it was one of her earlier ones, but like...
I mean, that one was more recent because it was part of Halloween. Every October, Stephanie Harlow does a bunch of older cases.
I like that. That's cute, Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, the giggling grandma case, I actually know a shit ton about.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention enough to like comment on it though. So like, I think it was just because it was so. You know what I think it is about what's her name? Kendall Ray, that it makes her such a compelling storyteller is that she's really good at editing. Like,
yeah, she's really good at editing, but she's not as good at research. She does all the research herself, and it's not to par, and she will give misinformation and only correct herself on her podcast and not on her actual YouTube channel, which I have a huge problem with. Like, at least Philip DeFranco will mention when he fucks up.
I haven't watched anything from him, but he's not a true crime.
No, he's not. He's current update news stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, I think it's because like Stephanie Harlow just purely talks. She like sometimes puts pictures in here and there, but it's not nearly as like compelling as how Kendall does it. And I think that's why, like, I think I'm trying to get Jordan into it from like, you know, baby steps.
It sounds like you guys prefer more the entertainment aspect than the factual aspects of the case. You don't get anything more detailed than the Stephanie Harlow video.
True. What we do is like what we've been doing lately is so we'll like that case was something that Kendall did like a 2-part special where she went to the family and like actually like interviewed the family. So I think that you should probably go and like check that out because I think that the like she left out something like because I read it and because Jordan and I, that's where I'm getting towards. We got into this case and then we started to look for other like resources. Like I think Danelle had one too.
Oh my gosh, love Danelle.
Yeah,
yes.
Danelle. And then like we haven't watched that one yet, but what we've done is that we find cases that we really like and then we're trying to find other sources to find out more about it and stuff like that. So that's why I think Kendall, that one might be a good one because it's 2 parts. The first part is talking about him and his family and like how it sets up the scene. And then the second part, they're both like an hour plus long. The second part is like she goes and she interviews like the PI and stuff like that and like the people behind it. Either way, I think it's the ones where that Jordan and I particularly like are the family ones, the ones where they lost, like the more recent ones whose families are still grieving and still looking for answers.
Okay.
Whereas like the one that Stephanie Harlow that we listened to was that like historical one.
Yeah.
Which I think that Jordan wasn't ready to dive deep into that dark. Like he wants like the more relatable kind of stories, you know, where it's like
the more modern ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's and I don't know, and I think that like the ones when I was into those type of stories, I think that was when Kendall was more factual, was when she did stuff like that.
Oh my god, I used to adore her channel. Like I'd watch whatever she put out as soon as she put it out.
She has a really great personality. I like her.
Oh, she is. Like I would love to like actually chat with her at some point.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll be on her. Like
day.
Maybe we can collab with her on her podcast. She has this sesh with her cousin, I think now.
Oh my gosh, she does so much too. She like really pumps out a lot of content.
Well, it's become her main source of income too. Her husband, she and her husband have a really good like on-screen dynamic too. The way that they talk.
Yeah,
like,
they have good banter.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not about Kendall. This is about true crime.
Well, you know, as a fan of true crime, I often get asked like, do the cases ever get to you? Out of curiosity, do they ever get to you, Kat? Like learning about the stuff, like does it ever like emotionally hit you?
I think that's why Jordan and I really like the more modern ones because it's like we kind of empathize with the family. Like it's just kind of like I don't know. I get really. There was one actually. We've been watching the true crime daily ones Jordan can get into because they're shorter and they're faster, right? Like
oh yeah, they're like 5 minutes. Here's the information.
Yeah, Woo! and they're broken up into like 6 parts or something like that. So it's like 5-minute or like 8-minute increments of like information, right? And one of the ones that actually did get to me because it kind of scared me was this cop or this girl that was in the police academy, and she had met this dude before. I think they were dating. I don't know. The relationship went really quickly. He was very OCD. It was like the OCD to the point where he needed to like everything had to look a certain way, had to be clean a certain way. And he started off as very charismatic. The family really liked him. Blah 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 blah. But then like as time went on, the signs began to show. And stuff like that. Like he was controlling and didn't want like would constantly like if she went out he would call and like ask her like where are you going, like you need to tell me where you are. Like he was that type of controlling. Like he needed to have tabs on her every day. And she finally like had enough of it and was like I'm gonna leave. And this was like a day where she went out with her friend and he followed her like and her friend.
Oh my god.
I need to go find this True Crime Daily, and then I'll actually have to find it. I'll find it afterwards, and we'll link it in the description.
Yeah, everything we will talk about today will be linked somewhere.
Yeah. And so he followed her, and then her friend was like standing behind them, and she, like, the girl, she walked up to the car, swung the door wide open. It's like, so look who it is. Like, she was just unafraid of this guy, you know? And then he said, like, fine. He said something, it's like, I will kill you and nobody will be able to find you, or something like that. Like, he said that to her, and she didn't think anything of it, I guess. And so the next day, when she went to, like, the day to confront him, or I don't remember the timeline, I'm foggy with it, but either way, like, the friend was like, can you please let me follow you? Can you please, like, let me be there for you? And she was like, no, I can do this on my own. And that was the last time that she ever heard anything from this girl. Yeah. And because this guy was like OCD, and, like, you know, it was like not out of the ordinary for his apartment to be spotless. And anybody who's OCD like that, like, they can get away with murder, you know? Like, it's just like, you know, like, they're gonna get rid of all the evidence. You think about it. If they're like, I don't know, if they're very meticulous the way that this guy was, he, like, made sure that everything was spotless. Like, he bleached everything. He did, and this was before he even, like, you know, who knows if he killed anybody else, but, like, before this alleged murder, right? Alleged, like, because
So he hasn't been, like, caught or anything?
no, he's not. He hasn't been caught, but
man.
everyone knows it's him. Everyone knows it's him. Even, like, the detectives, they know it's him, but they don't have a body. They don't have anything to, and that's, like, the saddest part, is that these cases that don't have a body, a lot of the times they can't do anything about it because there's no body, and it's just like,
Oh yeah, no, that makes it all the more hard.
like, and he did go to prison for something else, though. He, like, was such a sketch dude. He was, like, a corrections officer at a prison, a correctional officer at a prison, and he, like, he timed it to a certain point where he wanted to, like, get off with pay or something. So, like, he waited until there was a fight during, like, a code something. I forgot what it's called, a code something. He waited for there to, like, that fight happened, and he, like, pretended to be there. He showed up, and he, like, filed for whatever so that he could get off and with pay and retire and stuff like that. And he did that. But then they found out, and that's when he went to prison for. Like, he did his time for that. But he still got out.
If nothing else, you'll get to prison for money shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It scared me because my ex was very OCD, remember? Like, it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I personally don't think he would have done anything, but then you said before it was because, like, I never challenged him enough for him to really.
Well, I mean, the only time I ever heard of you challenging him was when you were leaving to come to my house, and I heard the fear in your voice and the anger in his voice, and it was just like, it's not long until, like, domestic violence happens, and domestic violence is very common, and what does the woman typically do? She usually defends her abuser, and then eventually it escalates, and a lot of women get murdered by their significant others, and it sucks.
Yeah,
It really, really does.
like, I don't know if he would. I don't know. He was just a very, you know, unwell individual, but it scared me because a lot of the tendencies in this particular suspect kind of, like, hit home. That's why I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, you asked me if, like, any of them hit home, but I don't know. I just think that, like, since I lost my grandma too, life is so fleeting. Like, it's so short. And I mean, my grandma's life was very long. Not gonna, like, she died in her like, when she was 94, but it just made me realize that, like, the life is so precious. And, like, whenever I hear about these type of things, I don't know, it might be like some sick like some sick interest in me, but it's like I like to hear, like, these stories, like, the celebration of their lives too. Like, because a lot of these true crime stories, they start off with, like, these people lit up the room, they were, like, you know, they, like, these were these people, and, like, and when I hear that, and then I hear that somebody snuffed that from them, you know, it just like it lights this fire up in me where it's just like I want to hear more so I can hate them even more. Like, you know, like
Yeah, I feel that because I first got interested in true crime way back when I was in high school. Back when it was still something weird. Like, it's weird if you're interested in true crime. So I used to get a lot of flack for that. And my favorite cases are either like the missing persons cases or nobody cases, stuff like that. Because I'm always wondering, if I see something, I want to remember that person's face. So maybe I can help in some sort of way.
the missing persons cases are interesting sometimes, though.
Yeah, they can be really interesting. I remember I was watching a documentary like sophomore in college about this mom whose daughters went missing, or her singular daughter went missing, but the police didn't care because her daughter was a prostitute, which is a very dangerous profession. And just the way that the mom talked about her, it was like really hard. The daughter went missing like 10 years ago, so she got a gravestone. And on her daughter's birthday, she would make it a point to go down to the gravestone with no body and clean it off. And she said, like, the documentary followed her on one of her visits to see her daughter's grave. And the mom, like, took a napkin and wiped off the gravestone because there was some dirt on it. And she's all like, girl, I've been wiping your face since you're 3, and I guess it hasn't stopped now, even with you dead. And it really cut me deep, because it's like, she doesn't know if her daughter's dead, but she just has no other hope in her because the police don't care. And with so many of the cases that I follow, there's like police misconduct or accidents that happen where evidence gets destroyed. And it's like the faith people have in police to solve these crimes should be so low because of how infrequent actual solved cases are. And just how dismissive most people are towards these families.
That was another thing that I've noticed in these cases, is that, like, except for one, which I will tell you about, like, in a second, but it's just like the police handling of these cases is so, like, it's just like, you have to be stupid to, like, some of these things that they miss. Like, or like the amount of, like, just, they don't pick stuff up, they don't like, I don't know, they just don't do their job. A lot of the cases of these missing people, of these, like, cases, I feel like the police just drop the ball.
I mean, it's hard because I know that they probably have stacks on stacks on stacks of cases, but there's so many cases out there where if they would have done their job, it wouldn't have gotten that bad. A good example of that would be like the Chef Boy murders, where the police didn't take photos of the crime scene, didn't fingerprint, didn't do anything, and then because it was in a restaurant, and they had the restaurant clean up before the next day's
oh my god
bustle of people. And it's like, you just destroyed all the evidence.
Why would you close the damn restaurant? Like, somebody got murdered.
Well, 4 people got murdered.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, like, it's bad, and I know, like, all these armchair detectives out here are, like, I feel like it's brought a lot of attention to these cases, more so than would have happened without the intervention of YouTubers and podcasters out, like, spreading true crime awareness, like, keep an eye out for this person or that person.
I was watching one of those, like, channels, like the lists,
yeah,
you know, and they're like lists of, like, cases that were solved by, like, people on the internet. Like, just communities on the internet will come for these cases, and they'll sit there and they'll do. Did you watch on Netflix? I'm sure I'd be surprised if you didn't watch this. Don't Fuck with Cats.
Oh my god, I love that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, where it was just like these random ass, like what do they call them?
The internet sleuths. Yeah, I'm in several of those similar forums. Don't look for me, people. You'll never be able to guess my handle in them. Because I would like to one day have the resources to do something in true crime. Because you can do a lot from the safety of your couch on the internet.
Yeah, if you just like talk to other people and like you can work together. And I remember those people in those in that documentary specifically were saying like it's so like they were almost ashamed of the fact that they spent so much time just like just I'm trying to find this guy that's like abusing cats on the internet. And then it's just like, I mean, you helped bring justice to this family that lost a person, like a full ass human family member, you know, like it just, I don't know,
it makes all the difference. And that's why I love true crime, and I'm happy that it's mainstream now. Like I no longer get teased for being morbid.
I mean like it's mainstream, but I also think that it was one of those things that just had a stigma. I'm pretty sure that many people have been liking true crime before it was cool, but just didn't want to talk about it because it was weird, you know, like
yeah. Like, I got a lot of flack for it, but I've always been outspoken about what I like. So
there's nothing, I'm sure that there's been studies on like why, and I think it's like majority girls like true crime more. Like,
well, we're also more often the victims.
Yeah, so I think that there's part of it where it's like, I don't know why I like it so much in general. I think there's a lot of, I don't know, these are lives, you know? These people.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing, like if you are doing anything in true crime, and that's something I enjoy about Stephanie Harlow and Danielle especially, and even, oh gosh, what's his name?
The guy that she works with. Doesn't Danielle collaborate with a dude?
She does for a second show that she has. Oh, and then like the whole podcast line are all true crimes, and all their hosts.
Oh, Serial. Or something like that, yeah.
Oh, no, it's Parcast, not Serial. That's a different company. But there's a specific company called Parcast that puts out only true crime podcasts, and they're wonderful with their research, and they're wonderful with humanizing the victims. There's a lot of good stuff out there.
I mean, like, this is kind of like an off-topic but related thing, is that there are a lot of people that like to romanticize serial killers too.
And yucks. That's the worst part of the true crime community, is the people that like.
Yeah, I just don't understand, because there are people that really like, who's that gross dude that like
Ted Bundy?
Yes, there's some people that really, really romanticize Ted Bundy. He's disgusting.
Yeah, don't stand serial killers, guys. You're better than that. Wait, find better idols.
I know, like, or you, the Netflix show You.
Oh, we'll talk about that next week because we're out of time for today.
right. Bye.
All right, we'll see you next week. We'll talk about You. See you later. But at that, we'll call it for the day, and we'll see you guys next week. If you haven't already, be sure to check us out on social media. We are on Instagram at the Cat and Vee Show. Check out our other podcasts. Links for everything are in the description.
Bye.
Bye.
Want to help support the Pull Up a Chair podcast network? Donations keep this show and others in our lineup going. All donations are tax deductible. Links with more information can be found in the description of this podcast.
Sarah and Scooter Podcast is a conversation between,
you guessed it,
Sarah
and Scooter. We are not experts on any of these topics.
Just hoping to spark something like an idea, conversation, or even a revelation.
Subjects will vary depending on our friends, family, and community.
Sometimes it will be what we want to talk about.
New episodes drop every week on all of your favorite podcast formats.
So pull up a chair and let's talk about stuff.